there's so many book series we really want to get to, but for some reason just haven't started reading yet.
So today we're going to talk about a few of those series. Let us know if you have read any of those and which we should prioritize.
Welcome back to Fireside Library. My name is Justin.
I'm Adele.
And I think we should just get right into it with the biggest shameful one.
Yeah.
She's read a little bit of the first book, or I guess the prequel,
Mm-hmm.
but it's The Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Just classic fantasy where basically every fantasy book from then on has gotten like inspiration from. So I feel like it's just something everyone has to read. Whether you like fantasy or not, I feel like it's just one of those classic books. I've read The Hobbit. I really liked it. I started Fellowship of the Ring, just never finished it. I don't know what I was doing in that time where I just kind of was like in and out of reading. Like I go through these slumps. It was right after I was done with school and I had been reading so much stuff for school and studying that I was like, I don't want to read any words ever again. So that's probably why I couldn't really stick with it. But I mean, everyone knows it's amazing. It's a classic thing to read.
Yeah, I think for me, I grew up watching the movies, so I kind of just thought I got everything I needed out of them. I love the movies, but we have the books. I just got really into reading in the last year or so, and it just never really crossed my mind until we were building these bookshelves, and we were putting the books up there. I was like, I've never read this, but everything I hear is great, so I think that's one I definitely need to dive into. There's just so many I want to read that I don't know if I want to pick that and start with that, or if I want to start with another series or read some standalones. Like,
it's hard when you want to read every book.
Yeah, I have so many books and
not enough time. There's never enough time.
No time. But yeah, that I think that's the first one for us. Another one for me, you've read some of them, but I've never read a lick of A Song of Ice and Fire. J.R.R. Martin, the Game of Thrones series. I watched the show on HBO, loved it until the last season. Last season was a little disappointing.
Sad.
I've heard great things. I've heard it's better than the show, even though it's unfinished. I've heard it's still worth reading.
I've read the first two. They're really good. It's because like the story of Game of Thrones, but there's so much more into it. It feels almost new. There's completely different like storylines and characters that the show didn't even mention, or the show combined like 2 or 3 characters into one to kind of like make it more appropriate for a TV show. I think it not being finished makes me a little hesitant to read it. I know I still want to because, I mean, the first 2 were really good, but I feel like I'm just going to be like disappointed when I get to A Dance with Dragons, finish that, and then just be like, okay, well, I'll just be stuck with the stupid ending that the show did.
Yeah. Yeah, I need to, that's another one I really want to read. The Name of the Wind is probably my favorite book of all time. And The Wise Man's Fear, and Patrick Rothfuss is probably going to J.R.R. Martin us and not finish that. But I think I've never read anything by J.R.R. Martin, so I think I want to read that.
I think it still would be worth reading, for sure.
All right, so there's a couple more that we have both have on our TBR that we really want to read. The first one, Red Rising. I think Red Rising is something I would absolutely love. We have the first 3 books, the first trilogy here. Don't really know much about it other than it follows Darrow, and he is a red, which I guess their society is like kind of like a pyramid, almost like Will of the Many. And gold is the top and red is the bottom, and he's trying to work his way up or disguise himself as a gold or something. I don't know the main plot. But
they're like trying to like civilize Mars or something, I think.
Really?
And he's like in the bottom, like trying to work up to the surface or something. I don't really know.
Yeah.
Just heard it's great.
Yeah. We've heard really good things from pretty much everybody who reads it. So that's up there.
Yeah. I don't read a lot of sci-fi really, but we both listened to Project Hail Mary together. Which was amazing. We both loved that one. And I loved The Martian by Andy Weir as well. So I kind of dabble a little bit in sci-fi, but not all that much. But I definitely want to try out Red Rising.
The next one I think we both want to read is The Dandelion Dynasty by Ken Liu. I think what's preventing me from starting it is the first book. I've heard is kind of, it reads more like a history book than a fantasy book. It's more, the first book is more, I guess, the setting up of the world.
Like just like
And a
info
lot
dumping.
of backstory, a lot of info dumping. And then the next 3 books is where the story really takes place. I think I would like it. I love world building. I love lore. I love learning about magic systems, and I think it's kind of a steampunk.
It's called
type
Silkpunk.
Silkpunk. Okay.
Which I'd never heard of before when I was looking up the book. It's like a mix of like magic and like East Asian, like traditional East Asian technology or something, like a mix of that.
Yeah. That's another great one that I don't really know what the main story is about. I just think all the booktubers I watch love it, and the setting just sounds really cool. It seems like a world I'd love to dive into. That's a big one on my list, but it's one of those ones where it's kind of dense, especially the first book with all the info dumping, that I don't know if I want to jump in right now. I need some like coercion into it, I think.
Yeah. How many books are in this series?
I think just 4.
4.
Yeah.
I remember you had watched a video a long time ago about someone reading it, and she had said that one of the chapters, or it was like 4 pages of like these 2 people getting into a relationship, and like it was their entire relationship basically written in 4 pages, and she said that in those 4 pages she felt so connected to them with just that little bit of text. And I think her explaining it like that made me kind of want to read it, because I love more character driven stuff.
Yeah.
So that kind of what sparked me into wanting to read it, was her description like that.
Yeah, another one of the people I watched kind of described how it spans like, I don't know if it's 100 years, but it spans like a long time in such a short amount of pages that it, like the way Ken Liu is able to fit so much lore from so long into so few pages. Like, I don't know, it seems really interesting to me to flesh out a whole like civilization basically in a few books. Another one we both want to dive into at some point is the Green Bone Saga by Fonda Lee. Jade City being the first one. It's another book. I don't know. I know it's like an urban Asian style like city fantasy.
It's like
kind of like
Godfather.
Kind of like the Godfather.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I know it's almost like mafia-esque, I think.
Yeah, there's like a main family that controls all the jade. And that's what's used for like their magic, I believe, or to get their powers. So it's like a political crime family drama.
Yeah.
And I think it spans like generations. Like,
oh, really?
Like it's a long period of time between the books, so you like really get to know like all their families, or the family. I don't know exactly, but everyone raves about it.
Yeah, a lot of people say it would be really good as like a TV adaptation too.
Yeah.
I think that's one I'm super excited. We actually don't have. That's one of the few of these series that we don't have any of the books. So, yeah, we definitely want to get into that.
So those are all the ones that we both really want to get into that we haven't read yet, and then we each kind of have our own separate lists of books. One series that I really want to get into is the Farseer trilogy by Robin Hobb, which is in the realm of the Elderlings. She has a few different series in that universe.
12, 16 books, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've just heard her character writing is like her strong point, and that's my favorite thing in books. All the action and adventure and things like that I like in the books, but if it's just like focusing on the characters, that's the stuff I really like. So that she seems like an author I'm probably gonna love. I just haven't gotten into it. I have the first book, The Assassin's Apprentice. I think it follows Fitz.
Fitz is his name, yeah.
Who is like a bastard, and he then gets into a royal family and he's getting trained as an assassin. But that's really all I know about it.
I've also heard, this is another series I want to read. It's a little lower on my TBR because I do like action and all that stuff. I do really enjoy character work, which I think is why Joe Abercrombie is so good for me, because he's got great characters, but also a ton of action. I've also heard with Farseer that Fitz has one of the best animal companions.
Oh, there's animal companions?
I think there's an animal companion.
I'm in.
So I know that should be good. That's definitely right up your alley.
Better than Princess Donut.
Probably not. Okay. I don't think anything beats Princess Diana. It's lower on my TBR, but it's definitely something I want to explore at some point.
Yeah.
All right, one I want to get into that I don't think you care as much about, the Sun Eater series. It's another sci-fi. All I know about this one is the main character has destroyed a sun, I think. And he tells you that at the very beginning. And then over the series of the books, I think he goes about the story of how he did it and why he did it. I know it's a giant space opera. Everybody says it's one of the best, like, big sci-fi space operas written to date so far. The only thing that's, like, kind of preventing me from starting it is I heard the first book's kind of slow, the second book is a little better, and then the third book, Demon in White, is where it starts to get really good. So with, like, all of these books that I want to read, I'm a little worried to start a series that takes a couple books to get into, but I don't know, I'm going to need a little shove to start. I think I'll love it. I love big, epic stories, but the fact that the first couple of books I've heard aren't the best in the series, and, like, his writing gets better as he goes, which I think will help me keep going, but going into a book knowing that it's one of the weakest in the series kind of is a bummer.
Yeah, but I feel like usually, like, first books, like, there are some really good first books to series, but I feel like mostly the first one is always kind of like a lot of the setup and things like that.
But that's what I like. I love first books. Like,
yeah.
introducing magic
so maybe you'll
and
really like the first three.
That's true. Yeah.
Another one that I want to read, which I actually just heard about recently, it's called the Winternight Trilogy. It mixes, like, Russian folklore and magic. I don't know a ton about it either, but I think it's about a girl who lives in, like, the wilderness of Russia, and she can see these magical creatures that other people can't, and it kind of mixes a lot of their, like, fairy tales and folklore into this story. It takes place, like, in the winter time, in the snow, so I'll probably want to read it towards the end of the year. Someone commented on one of our previous videos recommending this trilogy right after I had just seen it, so that really solidified me wanting to definitely pick it up at some point. It just sounds very, like, different from all the other, like, fantasy books I've been reading.
You love that, like, folklore, fairy tale type.
Yeah.
Like, with all of your, what were they called? Sorry, I keep looking this way. This is where our bookshelves are, which will eventually be in our backdrop.
They will be behind us.
All of your Shady Hollow books.
My woodland creatures.
Yeah, your woodland creatures. I feel like that's right up your alley.
I like a good, like, cozy book.
Yeah.
Which seems like that might be, so it sounds good.
Yeah. Another one for me that I really want to get into. This one is just kind of a big, sweeping, massive 10-book series that, like, I'm kind of scared to start just because it's so much. And that's Malazan by Stephen Erikson. Gardens of the Moon is the first book. I have it on the shelf. I look at it a lot. But I've heard that the first book alone follows, like, 30 different POVs.
That's a lot.
Yeah. I don't know if that's accurate. I heard that somewhere that it just follows a lot of people. And then I think the second book jumps to a completely different timeline and follows different characters. And then I think the third or fourth book jumps back and you follow the same characters again. But I've heard as a whole it's one of the most epic series of all time, and the way that Stephen Erikson kind of weaves things together is really, really good. But you don't really know. A lot of the things I've heard is, like, you go into the second book and you're confused because none of the characters are the same. But then, like, as you make it later in the like, series,
all makes sense.
It all starts kind of weaving back together and making sense. So a lot of people say to just stick with it, even when it's a little confusing. It's just such a big series that I think I'll like it, but it seems like one you need to, like, take notes on when you're reading it almost. So I just don't know if I want to commit that yet. Maybe when I'm a little more experienced of a fantasy reader. I've only read, for about a year, a little over a year, so.
Yeah, you need to get your little tabs out and your highlighter, start annotating it.
And then the last one that I want to read, she's, what, halfway through, almost?
No, I'm only on the third book.
Yeah, so, like, halfway through.
There's going to be 10.
I know, but the first part is the Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson. The Way of Kings being the first book. It's another one where I know I'll love it. I loved Mistborn. It's just so big. The books are just so big that, like, it's such a time commitment, and there's so many things I want to read it's like, do I want to spend that much time on this one book?
Mm-hmm. They seem very daunting, and especially the first one, like, it's a lot of information. Like, you're being introduced into this world, and there's this big epic war going on and everything, but you, like, very easily get sucked into it.
Yeah.
And I feel like once you start reading one, like, you're gonna want to just go through them all. I feel like it'd be... a lot of people recommend taking breaks in between them, but reading, like, his other little standalone ones, just because they're 1,300-page books.
Yeah.
But I think it would be hard to, like, read one, wait a while, then read the next one, because you're going to kind of forget a lot of details. And Brandon Sanderson also, like, plants all these little details along the way that you don't think are significant, and then they end up being significant later. So I feel like it's hard to appreciate that if they're super spaced out.
Yeah, if you're bouncing all around.
I love them, though. I think so far, I'm almost done with Oathbringer. I have, like, 200 pages left. I think that one's my favorite so far.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because I thought you were saying Words of Radiance.
Yeah, I think that's what most people, I think, pick Words of Radiance as their favorite, which it was very good. But Oathbringer, I don't know, I'm just enjoying it more, getting more of, like, the backstory for the characters. Again, the character stuff person, is... Yeah. I think Words of Radiance had more, like, big, impactful, like, things going on. This one still has a lot of stuff going on, but it's more like you're getting Dalinar's backstory.
A lot more character focused.
Yes.
Yeah, you're definitely a character person.
Mm-hmm. But there is a good amount of, like, I mean, there's a war going on, so there's, like, fighting and things like that. So it's definitely, I think you'll really like it.
Yeah.
It just looks intimidating. But it's worth it.
Yeah, looking at it on the shelves. Like, a large portion of our shelves were those 5 books.
I mean, I've pretty much read them almost back to back to back, and I think I started the first one in, like, March.
Yeah, and that's what scares me is I'm a slow reader. You're a fast reader. Like, you read quick. I do not really.
But you will download the audiobook and listen to it and read it.
Yeah,
I don't really do that. I'll, like, stick with one audiobook and then, like, a separate physical book.
I really only do it on the big books. Because I read a lot at work. I'm lucky. I work in the aviation industry and I work overnight. So the last few months have been not good reading wise. It's been very busy, but I have, like, an hour drive to work. So on the hour drive to work, I'll listen to it, and then at work I'll get a couple hours, maybe if I'm lucky, and I'll read a little bit, and then I'll listen to it on the way back and read it when I'm home. So it just helps me kind of get through the bigger books quicker. And it's kind of nice in these fantasy books with all the weird names.
Yeah, you get, like, a pronunciation for them.
You get the narrator who pronounces everything right. So when I'm reading, I have the right pronunciation in my head already.
Yeah. I'm kind of interested to hear Stormlight to see how much I've been butchering everybody's name. But I kind of just make up my own pronunciation in my head where I know it's not right, but my brain recognizes what the word looks like, and it's like, oh, that's this person with, like, some crazy name that probably isn't even close.
Yeah, I do that too with certain, like, if it's a crazy name. God, there were a few names in The Will of the Many that were a little funky, like those Greek names that are... Yeah. And I would just, like, take the first letter of their name. So instead of, like, reading their full name, I would just call them, like, K.
Yeah. I think what's the main character's name? Vin is in Mistborn. Vis is in Will of the Many, which is confusing because I read those back to back and I kept confusing them. His, like, guardian... I don't know how you say his name. I still forget, but I called him Excelsior. And I know that's not his name, but that word is a word I know.
I forget it too.
So it's like Alcasor or something like that.
Alkiscar. Alkiscar, something like that.
I called him Excelsior. And then he was listening to the book. I'm like, oh. Or you would mention a character. I'm like, who is that? Yeah. And you'd have to point it out in the book. I'm like, oh, it's that person.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's all of them, right? That's all of the main series. Obviously, there's more, but those are the big ones that I've been delaying a lot, especially Lord of the Rings. I really need to read Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, and they're not long. Like,
they're pretty short.
They're short books. I feel like sometimes I hear that sometimes they get a little, not boring, but, like, I mean, the first Fellowship of the Ring, it's Frodo and them, like, walking along this journey, and a lot of it is them walking.
Yeah, I know it's not going to be my typical read like Joe Abercrombie.
Yeah.
Where there's a ton of action, but part of me also likes that, like the classic fetch fantasy. Like they're on a quest to go destroy the ring. There's a piece of me that enjoys that too. Like if I'm not in the mood for Joe Abercrombie and blood and gore and war and dragons and swords and like all the epic things, there's something to be said about those books that just kind of
can read about
calm you down.
hobbits and elves and orcs and evil mountains.
I mean, in the last few months, I've started reading fiction. I'm currently reading Boy's Life by Robert McCammon, and that might top Name of the Wind for my favorite book of all time. And it's not about anything crazy. It's just a kid in his imagination living, enjoying summer. There's a little bit of a murder mystery like element, but it's mostly like just this kid, nostalgic, like him and his imagination.
Yeah, just a boy's life.
Literally a boy's life. But yeah, let us know in the comments what series you guys have read, which ones you haven't read and you're a little ashamed of, and which ones we should prioritize. Like I said, we don't know a lot about these series, other than that they're talked about and they're praised a lot. So let us know which ones we should prioritize, which ones we're okay waiting on if they're not quite as good.
If there's any big ones that we're missing.
Yeah, there are,
I'm sure.
Yeah, I think that's it for us this week. Until next week, we'll catch you later.
Bye.